Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Supervision Matters podcast with Rita Sever, a leadership coach, HR consultant, and author of Supervision Matters and Leading for Justice. Hey everyone, it is time to continue our conversations about leadership and HR with Rita Sever. I love our conversations every month. And, I think her lessons, even though it's for organizations and leadership, sometimes I think these lessons are some things that we can use in our personal life. And I think today is one of those too, because even if you're a parent, you're a leader, if you have a small business, still look at yourself as a leader in your own life. So today, Rita is talking about self-awareness and how it is a leader's secret superpower. So welcome back, Rita. How are you?
Thank you, Lisa. I'm doing great. It's good to be with you again.
Self-awareness is these lessons are for people in
They
general
are.
too, because you
Yes,
have to
that's
learn them
really
yourself.
the secret to my work is I talk about human interactions and I place it in the workplace, but the lessons can go anywhere you are with people. So absolutely, this is about being more, today's lesson is about being more aware, paying more attention, and building stronger relationships.
And the other thing too with this is like a lot of us are also looking at being leaders in community organizations or maybe leading, some kind of change, positive initiative for change. And could be a grassroots, it could be volunteering or just, hey, let's get together. We want this change in our community. So you want to still be a good leader in those roles, to be efficient and effective. But self-awareness, I wanted to touch on this for sure. What self-awareness is, because it doesn't mean you look at yourself and go, well, is my hair good today?
Right.
It goes beyond that, right? Because some
Right.
I know some leaders, that's what they do.
Right. And that's a small part of it, but I'm talking about the bigger part of self-awareness, which is really about how you show up, how people react to you, how you make people feel. When you leave a room, do they talk behind your back or do they feel like, okay, I'm ready to work because I'm inspired by this person? So self-awareness is about knowing, what your challenges are, what your strengths are, what triggers you, and just like how your personality impacts the work. All of that is part of self-awareness. And the more we can know all that about ourselves, the better leaders will be. And then the next step after we know the basics is continuing an active self-awareness practice so that we can sort of monitor ourselves.
So like if you lose your temper a little quicker on something, yeah, it may be justified, but are you going to keep yourself in check? And note, oh, I can't do that again. I've screwed up over here.
Exactly.
You're allowed to say that, right? And go,
Right.
okay, I messed up,
Absolutely.
make amends, fix it what you can, but move forward quickly and don't do it again.
Yeah, and really the self-awareness part is really considering what happened there. Was it an objective, they were late for the third time and so this is not acceptable? If so, then how can I express it without the anger? But more likely, they did something that, you felt disrespected. And it may be just part of your history or something, that you were told this. If this ever happens to you, they are not respecting you. And maybe that's true, or maybe the other person had no idea and meant nothing by it. So that's part of the self-reflection too, is what actually happened there? Why did I get angry out of proportion? And then how can I handle it better next time?
But it's also learning who you are, where are your sensitive areas too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's, I had correspondence once with one person and they kept, putting the sweetest person and then said something, they wanted something changed, exclamation point. And I'm like, what? Like, what's this? But it was like I'm being yelled at. And so I called them, said, what's
Good.
this? And they're like, I always do that. I'm like, I know, but in this circumstance, it looks like this to me. And then everything was fine.
Right.
It's absolutely fine. So it's better to handle, but we do have to know our levels of what we tolerate, what we don't tolerate. And it's okay to not tolerate things too, right?
Sure. Yeah. But again, how you respond to that, how you let people know what your boundaries are and what happens when they get crossed so that you can communicate clearly about that instead of just reacting to it.
So do you think that for supervisors, this is something where it's like, almost like sweep your own doorstep before you sweep others?
That's a great analogy. Sure, that's part of it. It's really about modeling how you want your staff to act and showing up to be the leader you want to be. Because when we get triggered again or react in a way we didn't intend to, we're not being who we want to be. Self awareness and self reflection can help us be the people we want to be and lead the way we want to lead. I think it's also fascinating that studies show that organizations that have people, more staff who are self aware, are more successful. Staff tend to get more promotions when they show self awareness. They lead more effectively. They perform better. And overall, the companies have stronger financial performance when they have a majority of staff who show self awareness. So this is a good business strategy as well as a strong interpersonal skill.
Well, that's what they say is it's true. Business strategies, it's like we talked about this last time too. It's like if you're doing the right thing with the staff, the team, if you're doing the right thing and you're showing up in that way and the staff trusts you and you're not leading through fear.
Exactly.
I mean, nothing happens if you're working in fear.
Right.
Or that's not encouraging for us.
Exactly.
You need to like have that, okay, this is open. You've got ideas. Try them. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Right.
That kind of thing with limitations on that too.
But the self-awareness helps people be more grounded so that they are more open to getting feedback or hearing new ideas or even challenges from their staff. If they don't have self-awareness, they're going to put up a wall and say, nope, we're not even going to talk about it. So that's not going to build trust. Where somebody has self-awareness and says, yes, I want to hear what you think. What may or may not change what I'm asking of you. But if you have concerns or other ideas, let's talk about it. That builds trust and it helps this team be more innovative and more successful.
So when you talk about self-awareness, what can we do as individuals, whether you're a leader, the employee? Isn't this something that we can reflect on? Is this something you look at the end of the day? How did I handle all the situations? What could I have done better? Is that the kind of thing you do?
Absolutely. I think it's important to make a date with yourself. It can be 5 or 10 minutes a week. So when I was working in regular jobs, even when I was a consultant, I would put usually 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon before I would close up. I just set the timer for 10 minutes. I'd shut the door and I'd think about the week. How did it go? Was there anything I wish I had handled better? Is there anything I need to clean up? Maybe I yelled at somebody and I didn't even realize it at the time. And now I'm going, that wasn't a good response. I might have done some damage there. So figuring out what I need to do and when I'm going to do it. And when you do that, you build those muscles, just like with any other practice. And there's a variety of ways you can do it. I'm a writer, so I tend to journal, but just sitting and thinking about it, going for a walk, meditating, all of those are ways that you can think about how I'm showing up and what do I want to do different. And there's a process. It starts with the intentional self-reflection. And when you build those muscles, then you move into self-awareness. So you start noticing in real time, this is where I got myself in trouble last time when somebody called me ma'am and I overreacted. So, being aware in real time, and then the self-awareness leads to self-management. So what am I going to do so that I don't get triggered by this anymore? Or I'm going to draw a boundary and say, don't do that. That really doesn't work for me. Here's what you can call me. Much rather you said Rita or boss, even whatever it is, instead of ma'am. Ma'am just doesn't work for me. Whatever it is. And then you're going from self-reflection, self-awareness, self-management. And it's a continual circle, but then you're showing up authentically.
Well, I like that because it's true. Like, there are guys who go up to my mom, Nancy, who I call Nancy. We're in a
Right.
business relationship as well as, mom, daughter and everything. And they'll go, and mom here, and they'll start calling her mom. And that just, her face, it's like,
You can read it. Yeah.
do not try that. She hates that. Don't call her
Right.
mom. She's like,
Right.
I'm the mother to one here, not to you.
Right. Absolutely.
Because it's kind of rude. It's kind of like they probably they think they're being sweet and funny or whatever, but there's that other weird.
Yeah. It puts her in a box that she doesn't want to be
Oh,
in.
Nancy doesn't want to be put in a box.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
she's giving me a look across the room right now. But that's the thing. Knowing that is not what you like, there's a way to go, hey, I want to let you know that for me, this really doesn't work for me. It's polite, and you don't want to make them feel bad because some people get, oh no, it's the feedback conversation again, right? Say, no,
Exactly.
it's no big deal. I know you don't know how it makes me feel, and I'm fine. I'm just letting you know.
Right. Exactly. That's perfect. And the clear I statement there, it works and it can be no big deal.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that that's what's setting you off, then you're going to just start not liking those people and not quite understand why. So it helps build the relationship.
Well, the self-awareness too. We're going through changes in the industry, like the world and in business, of understanding people's pronouns and things like that. And if you don't get it right away, it can be hurtful. And I think the pronouns is part of self-awareness, and that's why I bring it up. It is.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for us to change our brains, for the other side going, okay, get this right. And the other day I did an interview with a young lady who's done some amazing community action work and wrote a book on it. And I said, you can follow her at, and I went, oh, it dawned on me later. And I emailed and said, my apology. I meant no disrespect. It's just a usual old school brain. Like, sorry, I've been doing this for years. Did not mean disrespect. I will edit that out. And
Right.
I think it was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, don't wait, because
Right.
you don't know how she's feeling. You've been told, don't do that. And then it's the first thing I do.
Right. Exactly. Self-awareness on both sides, because that person has done a lot of work to realize this is really important to me. These pronouns matter, and telling you this is the pronoun I want to be addressed by. And then your self-awareness of realizing after the fact that happens, and then not only realizing that wasn't good, but then how can I fix it? And you took 2 steps to fix it. You emailed them and you edited it out.
Yeah, it was immediate because I don't like things to fester because it'll fester on you and them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. The festering thing is, and a lot of times the things we get all picky about, or fester on, it's absolutely nothing if it was just a quick conversation. So that awareness thing is, I think this is a good topic of today, to understand those kinds of, and you have to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be honest about what you need, what you want, and when you mess up. All of that is part of self-awareness. And then hopefully it builds the trust and respect with the rest of your team.
Do you think this helps you as being a self-leader for yourself? Once you can identify more about who you are, it's a process, right? And you be, really brutally honest with yourself. Just be 100%. I really suck at this.
Right.
What can I do? Do you think I'll ever get better? Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll never be able to roller skate. That's fine. I'm good at this, but there are things we can change within our personalities, or how we're treating others, or how we're, if you're always late, that's fixable.
Yeah. Yeah. And some things aren't fixable.
I'll never be good at roller skating.
Yeah. I'm thinking of 2 examples from my own path of leadership. I'm very much an introvert. And that's a big piece of self-awareness, is understanding extrovert, introvert, thinker, feeler, both what it means to you and what it means to other people. And so when I became HR director at a large company, I went to every manager and I let them know that when you bring me a problem, unless you're breaking the law, I'm not going to give you a solution right away. I'm going to sleep on it. and I will get back to you within 24 hours and give you my recommendations. But this is how I work as an introvert. I need time to think about it and consider what might happen, possibilities, worst case scenarios, and then we'll move forward. And like I said, if it's breaking the law, I'll tell you right away. But it worked great for all of us because they would bring me a concern they had about a situation, and I'd say, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow about that. And sometimes I'd do it within a couple hours. We both understood that I wasn't just blowing him off. This was my process, and that really helped. And the other example that I thought of is with my own staff. One of the things that I am not good at is deadlines. I'm good at them in terms of they help me get my work done, but I often wait to the last minute and then I'm really stressed and really grumpy. And so I told my staff that, and I said, I want you to know that when this happens, because I am working on it, but I've been working on it for years, and there'll probably be times when I come in really grumpy. And I just want you to know it's nothing to do with you. It's not your fault. I will try to contain myself. And you can call me on it if I cross the line. But if I just come in and don't say hello and go to my room, I probably have a deadline. It helped us again understand the lay of the land, and I kept working on it. Got a little better, but
I can't even imagine you being grumpy. Are you kidding me? Rita grumpy? Look at the smile. There's no way. No, I can't. But, well, we all have our
and the
things.
grumpiness is different. It wasn't that I was going to yell at him, but I was going to not say hello and chat like I usually.
Yeah, you're just like, focused. Let's get to it. It's right. But then people go, oh, I noticed she's a little different. And I can feel that with some people's tones, just even a text message. And I know them and I go, what's going on? And then we'll find out something maybe, or, but I love the clarity. So at the same time.
If I didn't tell them that and I just showed up one day, then they could start tripping about what I do, what I say, why is she mad at me? Am I going to get fired? It could just spiral out of control.
Especially in HR. And I think, so it's really awareness is transparency too. Absolutely. You have to be transparent with yourself before you can be transparent with others. And you don't have to be over transparent on everything. There's some people who do that, and that needs to be worked on. Like,
right. Right?
I don't need to know everything you ate for dinner.
Right.
Unless it was really good, then you should bring it. I know that you also talk about it can be tricky. So is kindness part of getting past through the thick of this, getting through the things you don't want to look at and communicating it? And you how do we work that out, navigate it? Because you also don't want to, as a leader, put yourself you want to still be like, I'm a leader. I've been, I'm qualified. Here's my things, like what you're talking about. I know that you're way, obviously qualified in everything you've done, Rita, but then you also don't want to be down on yourself. Like how you pronounce, how you talk about it is important.
Right. And I think all the things we talked about in feedback and communication, that when I can use a clear I statement and say, this is what I know about myself, this is how I imagine it might impact you, and here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I'm going to ask you to do in response to this. Then it's clear. And certainly the kindness is part of it. You want to always be kind, but you don't want to be so nice that you never say what needs to be said.
Exactly.
And I think it's tricky because self-awareness is easy to talk about, but it's hard to put into practice. It's easier for some people who are naturally reflective, but other people just don't show up that way. They can still build the practice and learn, but it's an area where we sometimes fool ourselves. I read one study that said 95% of people report that they're self-aware, but this study said really only 15% are truly self-aware.
Ooh.
And that was rather daunting, actually. But I think it's a spectrum. There's some people who just have no self-awareness, don't know how they show up, and don't care. They're just like the bull in the china shop, if you will. And others who are probably too deferential about, please excuse me, this is something I have to work on, but there's a spectrum of self-awareness. Part
Yeah.
of what's tricky is, we all have blind spots, and blind spots means we don't understand how we show up. So we
Yeah.
have to really pay attention and ask for feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
To
some people say, yeah, like there's things where I remember when I was going to boarding school and which wasn't the best idea. And it was, I wanted to go, and it was after in South Africa after we traveled for 2 years with Nancy's art and everything. And I'd been a very adult kind of, I learned how to type. I learned how to do sponsor letters for this nonprofit fundraising, done all these things. And I thought, well, it was hard to settle down. I thought, well, this would be a new experience and, some other reasons. I go in there and I remember being told, one girl told me, yeah, we thought you were really snobbish. And I went, what?
Right.
Because I wasn't very chatty with them all because I thought,
Uh-huh.
but I did think what they were, I thought it was boring to me because I'd been seeing things doing and this was like, oh, this guy called me yippee yay. And I'm like, so
Right, right.
so it wasn't being snobbish. Like I didn't put him down. I just
Not
wanted to go
interested.
for a walk in the park instead. So,
Right.
and that I'll never forget that someone saying, well, you just came in here like you're, I've been
Yeah,
here, done that, and you're a little snob. And I was like, oh my God, that's not at
right.
all. Not at
Exactly.
all.
And
And
that's
so,
often
yeah.
introverts are often perceived as being aloof and
Hmm.
snooty, and
Yeah.
that's certainly not what's driving them at all, but
Yeah.
people can misunderstand each other, and the same with, extroverts can be perceived as overbearing and not caring about anybody, and most of the time, neither one of those stereotypes are true. If we don't know what we need and ask for it and explain to each other, then we're gonna keep misunderstanding each other.
Yeah, yeah, it's important. It's important to know, like for me, as we do so many podcasts, like I go, that's it. I need a day off of talking to people. Not that I dislike the people, but if I don't, because I am more of an introvert, believe it or not. Not people
Uh-huh.
don't believe it, but I am. But so yeah, tell us a little bit more because I know you also cover this in your books. So self-management is a thing. This whole process, and so this is a weekly thing to do.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, it's building the practice of taking some time to think about it, however you wanna do that, building a practice and then acting on it. So
Mm.
the self-management comes when you've gone that route from self-reflection and self-awareness to self-management. So then you can realize in a meeting, okay, they're pushing my buttons. If I keep this meeting going, I'm going to do something I'll regret. So then I'm going to take a timeout and just
Mm.
say, I'm going to take a little walk around the block. We'll continue in 5 minutes. That's
Very cool.
self-management in action.
Okay, so that's knowing yourself. That's the thing. I think one thing, like for me personally, when I listen to this and think about it, is, I always like to reflect on the day, what happened
Mhm.
in the day, and then to write something down. And like, I'd almost want to own my own book just a word of the day that where can you
Right.
improve? Where did you do good? So self-awareness also about the
Absolutely.
positives.
Sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Understanding this is something I'm really good at.
Mm.
And, sometimes you don't realize that until you get feedback.
Mm.
And then you realize, wow, people keep saying this about me.
Mhm.
This must be something I'm good at.
So which of your books do you cover this in most, do you think? I know both.
Both of them, yes. I think I have a chapter in both books. Leading for Justice has a whole chapter, and I think it's called Look in the Mirror, the way you
Mm.
started our session. And it's about how to practice that art that I just talked about. And there's examples, stories in both books about how self-awareness can trip us up if we're not careful.
Okay. So practice it. And then you say, I know that you share some notes with me is consider who you are and how you show up.
Right.
So, okay, I'll go get a haircut.
I will send this to you so you can put it in the show notes because I have a list of 7 questions and I'll just read you the first one so
Oh,
you have
please do.
a sense
Yeah.
of what it is. How do my strengths support my supervision practices? And what's one specific time my strengths showed up and how did they impact that specific situation? And then, of course, the other side, what's challenging about how I show up? And so it's just a series of questions. What helps me stay grounded? That's a really important one to understand. If you are getting anxious or upset or frustrated or angry, what do I need to do to take care of that?
Very cool. So you got a list so people can do that as a list to go through every week?
Yep.
That's cool. I love this. I love this. So we'll put that in the show notes, everyone. And also the other thing, I think, if folks haven't heard the recent podcast about, the hidden rules, because I think this ties in with hidden rules.
Absolutely, because it's part of our own lens. That's what leads to hidden rules, is when we don't realize, oh, that's just part of my culture or part of my upbringing, and maybe it's not part of yours. So it is related, definitely.
And then feedback.
Yep.
So now, would you think that companies you've got these lists of questions, should they, should a leader, an HR or a leader, share this process with the employees about self-awareness?
Sure. Probably a lot of companies aren't going to make it official, but I think doing some training and maybe articles about the value of education, and it's something that we want to support. Ideally, everybody in the organization would say, block off the last half hour on Friday afternoon before you leave so that you can have some private reflection time and set yourself up for the next week. And nobody would make meetings then. It would just be a great practice. And it would also then encourage work-life balance, because at the end of that half hour, everybody goes home.
Sounds good. Sounds good. It's done. I love that.
Hard to implement, but it's a good way to think about it for sure.
I love this. I love it a lot. I think I just want a book where I can write a word like, okay, know this, because I'll know. Sense memory. Yeah.
My journal. I do.
She's got her journal. That's it. I know. And I think I was just thinking too, as you were talking, how instrumental this can be for those going into college or into, higher education, because sometimes we don't know I'm good at this. So this is making me feel good while I do that. And that's something I think that's really important for our youth to discover about themselves, to have that self-awareness.
Yeah. And to build that practice again, because that's such a stressful time in human development, that it really can be helpful to build that practice of just, how's it going? Check in with yourself.
I was going to ask you, does HR work with interns too? Because in interns, I feel like they should be part of that culture too, with the self-awareness and part of what's going on in the company.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that part of what you're doing when you have interns is hopefully setting them up for success in the rest of their career. So when you can help them build a practice like this and an understanding of how important it is, that's going to serve them for their whole career.
Well, it's really important that companies and organizations look at the next generation and not just ignore about who's coming in through the door. You've got to do something in giving back. You can't just keep hoping people are going to show up and be prepared for your industry, you know? So I think that's important too. Very cool. Well, everyone, the website, supervisionmatters.com. Go there, sign up for Rita's newsletter. I like her newsletter. She gets right into the nitty gritty. So it keeps you going. She makes you think, and, you get to the point. She always does. But none of us can imagine you being grumpy. My gosh, there's no grumpy Rita. Well, thank you so much as always. We look forward to next month.
Thank you. See you next month.
Thanks for listening to Big Blend Radio's Supervision Matters podcast with Rita Sever. Keep up with Rita at supervisionmatters.com and listen to new episodes every third Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on bigblendradio.com.